Okay, we now welcome on a very, 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 very special guest. He is the undisputed WWE Champion of the World. It is Cody Rhodes. He's got big time Wrestlemania coming up April 19th and 20th at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. So, Cody, first of all, thanks for coming by. Let's start with how it feels. So it's going to be about a year now that you've been the champion. Yeah. How are we feeling? Is it everything that you dreamed about? Because I know it was a lifelong dream, but a year being champion, was it everything that it cracked up to be?
I feel like it's definitely a positive. It's not that it's a negative, but I will say that it's nothing like I anticipated it to be. What I really quickly found out is that it is almost a de facto position in the office. It's a bigger position than just man in tights wrestling, which is great. I love it because I love the infrastructure. I love the industry. I grew up in the business. My dad was behind the scenes, in front of the camera, all that. But that was a part for me that I thought, oh, there's a layer of responsibility,
right?
Like a team captain, you know. And I tried to lean into it in the last, several months. Where I'd like that. I like being the big dog here, as long as it's gonna, it's gonna last. But it's been amazing, it really, and especially for being a good guy character,
right? To
have the title this long is rather unheard of, because everyone just tries to murder you every week,
right?
Mm-hmm. I'm very lucky.
Is that lucky. So speaking of like being babyface, because I think in today's day and age where people are more cynical, a little edgier, whatever you want to call it, do you find that hard, having to be the good guy when you're like, man, it's probably easier to just be the bad guy once in a while?
Well, it's always easier. Right. I feel every week I think they're gonna boo me, and every week we've been lucky where it's been like, no, we like you. I genuinely find a surprise in every night in the way they do my entrance. I'm surrounded by all this cryo, and then it does this little sparks, these cold sparks, and then I can really hear the audience, and it's legit the coolest thing ever. I don't know. I don't know the formula. I think there's a element of being in the family and the love they had with my dad and the connection we have. I think it's because I took them on the full ride from the time I was back at WWE. Also, the suspension of disbelief in what we do, everything about me is, I don't have a character.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I am me. This is, and I'm really happy that it's worked out. Yeah. But I'm always expecting
today's the
Barclays or something, or Chicago's always notoriously a tough wrestling market, and then in those places they're like, nah, he's cool. So
that's got to feel awesome.
I'm very lucky at a certain point.
Yeah,
who knows, but it's blessed.
Yeah. I mean, your story is incredible. For those that don't know, you bet on yourself. You actually are a good friend, Robbie Fox.
Yeah,
works
Robbie.
here. You and him became pretty close. He drove you around. He showed me a picture where he took you to the emergency room. So tell our listeners the story about how you bet on yourself, the road that you went on, that you brought people along.
When I was at WWE the first time, and I was a legacy hire, my dad was in the business, my brother was in the business, godfathers, uncles, all that. I was in a great position, and then in the last 3 or 4 years, I technically, I hate using this term, but I technically became an enhancement talent, a jobber. And I was under the alias of Stardust. I was pain in my face. It just was very much, I say beneath me, but I wasn't doing the work to outkick it either. And I felt like I was trapped. So no one ever does this. What I would do next is really what set this all off. I ended up quitting WWE. Wasn't going to get fired because of the legacy I had, but also things weren't going to get better. I quit WWE, and when I left, that's where I got to bet on myself, as you said, and got to mobilize the audience. I put a list together of various opponents, all different companies, all different continents, all this stuff I wanted to do because I was a lifelong WWE kid. I'd been made in their system, and to be able to break out and do independent wrestling, deathmatch style stuff, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all this stuff that you didn't see as often. I was able to bring everybody who had all the equity I had at WWE and bring them along with me, and it was all a real journey in terms of, I'm going to try and get, if this place holds 400, I'm going to try and get 500 people in there. You mentioned Robbie Fox. We were at La Boom in Queens, New York, and hey, there's only 100 and something people here. Well, guess what? We're going to buy pizza for each and every one of them. We tried to make what I was doing, everything, destination. Even though it wasn't WWE, it wasn't USA, it wasn't Fox, it wasn't one of our television partners, I tried to make it destination because streaming was becoming a thing. You could find me. That turned into All In, which was in Schaumburg. There's a plaque on the building still. I'm terrified they're going to take this plaque down at some point. Me and Mad Nick Jackson doing the first show ever, because the bet was nobody could get more than 10,000. No company other than WWE could get 10,000 people. 20 minutes later, we had 11,000 people. We had this Woodstock for wrestling, and really everything since that moment has just sparked off of that. An alternative wrestling promotion now exists in terms of AEW, and being a founder at that, and then being able to come back to WWE, be so well received, be so trusted, and take up the first journey I had in the business, which was this. You know, my dad in 1977 wrestled Superstar Billy Graham in Madison Square Garden, wins the match, but doesn't win the title. But he got to do the thing where he held it up for the audience before the inevitable shoe drop from the announcer. And as a kid, that was it.
Right.
That was my legitimate, no matter how you look at our business, not real, however, I wanted to win the damn belt for him. And when I came back, that was the one thing I was, hey, this is what I'm going for. It's as real as it will be presented on TV. It's as real behind the scenes as it is in front of the camera. And I was able to do it.
That's very cool.
That's very cool.
Do you carry the belt around with you?
Of course. I mean,
like, what's the longest that you've ever gone without touching the belt?
That's a great question. I feel like I touch the belt every day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how boring is it if I came in here and I didn't have the belt?
Yeah.
You got to have the belt.
Yeah.
To me, I have there's multiple belts, right? There's one that's on TV, and there's one that you can kind of take on the road with you, but I keep the same one each time, which was the one that I know Roman wore to the ring at WrestleMania 40. I've never even touched the other one.
Yeah.
It's somewhere, so in case I was ever to forget it, but I get hands on it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you have it,
you got to.
You got to.
You got to.
Yeah.
Well, don't give it up. Just keep winning.
Now, well, that's the bittersweet thing about WrestleMania this year is I'm excited. This is another headline match. This is
Cena retirement.
But that's the bittersweet part.
Yeah.
I have to do what John did for all those years, just win.
Right.
But
right.
That's not that exciting to everybody who maybe he'll break Ric Flair's record, but yeah, maybe he won't.
Yeah.
And, like you said, keep winning.
Yeah. So the story you told, it is great. Have you had moments where you're like, this was the path I had to take? Because you mentioned your dad, Dusty Rhodes, legend, hard times and the everyman. And you kind of had to, because for a while you were, I don't want to say what people thought, but like, I'm sure there were people like, oh, he's a Nepo baby. He's in there because of his dad. And then you found it on your own, the hard times. That's a really cool full circle moment where you're like, hey, I was given a lot, but then I had to go earn it in its own way.
It's almost a reverse situation from a lot of guys who worked their way up, whereas I got so many things afforded to me early. And then, this is going to sound like a silly parallel, but really the best way I can think about it is if you've ever seen the movie The Lion King. I went out there and like found my Timon and Pumbaa, and I had to find what was inside for me. It's such a silly way to look at it, but being a Nepo baby or being a second or third generation in our industry, that's one thing. When it's Dusty, I think about some of these kids whose dads are essentially Mount Rushmore dads. You are forever behind the eight ball in a way. You're forever trying to, you don't even want to say it out loud because it sounds mean, but you're trying to be better than he was.
Right.
I think the first person at WWE who realized, oh man, I will accept nothing less is Mr. Heyman, is Paul Heyman. I think he's the first person who realized, oh, he's trying to do essentially the impossible. And I got flanked. It feels so good, but I got flanked by the best team when I came back.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people there, and if I could shout them out, Michael Hayes, Triple H. I can't believe I'm going to say this guy's name, but The Rock, the final boss.
Yeah.
They, as much as what you see on screen is pretty volatile, the tools are right there. When WWE right now, all those guys are right there to get that information from. And Triple H has been wonderful with me. He's been like a coach, putting me out on the field and just calling the plays, and they've been great plays.
Do you think The Rock one-on-one, is that going to be in the future? He did pin you last year.
He did, and I'm a bit of a egocentric individual who wants his win back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's got one over you. He could just retire tomorrow and you'd be screwed.
I think he's due for more than one match, and I would love to be penciled in on one of those. Obviously, that schedule is as intense as it gets, but he's still so involved with WWE. He could have easily been the final boss and just kind of taken that as a customary title,
right?
But he has really gotten his hands involved in what we're doing. And the thing even though we may not like one another, the thing I do like about him is instantly, no matter what he's done, record-breaking Disney movie, whatever he did that weekend and then showed up, when you look at him, you can tell, oh, brother's a wrestler.
Yeah.
It's in there. It's hidden the ropes and what the reaction you can get from doing wrestling moves in the ring and the promo in the interview. I really have enjoyed that connection with him. I'd like to be one of those. I think he has 2 matches he has to do.
Okay.
He has to do. And I'm not putting any pressure on anyone.
Put the pressure on.
I think he does. I'd love to see if him and his cousin Roman Reigns ever have this encounter.
Yep.
Maybe it's the greatest match we never get, just because timing, whatever it may be. And I think we need to finish our own story with him and with myself. But we'll see.
His cheat days are bullshit. Where he's like, "Oh, look at me! I'm The Rock. I have huge muscles, and I'm eating 100 pancakes." Like, yeah, dude, eat 100 pancakes when you're already full and fat. That's hard work. You know what I mean? Anyone could eat 100 pancakes with a 6-pack and then be like, back to the gym.
A lot of people have a lot of opinions on his cheat meals.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
I think they're fake. I think he embellishes them. I don't think that, like, when he stacks up all those pancakes, I think he eats maybe a quarter of them.
And it just, like, if you're in really good shape and you eat a lot of food, that's not hard. You know what I mean? Because you're just going to go back to the gym the next day and you're going to take a big dump. If you're already fat and you feel like shit and you can only wear a sweatshirt and you're like, I'm still stuffing my face, that's hard work.
So you don't think his cheat meals are hard work enough, and you think his cheat meals are fake?
Oh, I think they're completely fake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we got takes.
So his cheat meals, here's why I don't think they're fake.
Okay.
Because I think it's a feast or famine situation where if you diet and train like a lunatic, you will eat all 100 of those pancakes until you're in pain laying on the floor. Which, to answer yours, maybe it is hard work.
No, it's not.
Maybe these cheat meals aren't such a negative. I don't know. I've never.
He goes to the gym the next day.
I've never seen him eat.
I 100 pounds over my head. I'm back on my grind.
What Big Cat's saying is that it's stolen valor.
Right.
To eat a big meal like that and to act like you're a fat guy and then to not have to suffer the consequences of eating like that all the time.
Like, I want to see
his culture is not his costume.
I want to see The Rock eat a cheat meal when he's already full.
So,
because that's what I do.
I just for the record, his cheat meals have been referred to as stolen valor.
Yes. Stolen valor, yes. 100%.
Yes.
Wow.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree with that take.
Yes.
But I'll go one step further and say I don't think he actually eats everything. I think that The Rock did his first cheat meal, which was organic, and it would not like in terms of organic food, but like it was from his own brain. Hey, I'll post my cheat meal.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, wow, The Rock, that's such a huge cheat meal. And then he was like, oh shit, that did a lot of traction.
So now he's got to keep it up.
Find a different way to make my meal look bigger.
Yeah.
What do you, if you had to have a cheat meal, just because we're in it on this cheat meal thing, what would you have?
Well, it's all about how you photograph it. So if you want to make something look bigger, you got to get down from like a low angle.
The angle,
and angle it up and have it really right in the camera's face.
I've been trying to get this. There's a place there's one in Brooklyn location called Crispy Pizza.
Okay.
And they're all over Instagram. That's mainly that. My algorithm is just ice cream and wrestling and pizza.
Nice.
Is where it's kind of that's where it's circling at the moment.
Mine's like big tits and cheeseburgers, but yeah, each their own.
Cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I've been trying to get this pizza, but then finally I did a commercial shoot the other day and I could have eaten it and somebody brought it and I couldn't do it.
Why not?
I feel like I'm not to the finish line yet on the dieting, but it wouldn't have hurt either was the thing.
Right.
I have this dumb game I play with myself where I tell myself, if you have that, you lose everything.
Yeah.
And that seems like a sick...
You should see a therapist.
Yeah, it might be.
No, but
that's fucked up, man.
No, but that's what makes you great.
It's a sickness, but if you touch it, it's like you lose it all.
Yeah.
House gone.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's a mess.
Everything's gone.
It's gone, so yeah.
You were talking about how you keep thinking next time you come out into the ring, they might boo me.
Yeah.
Like that's a thought that's in the back of your head. I would imagine that to stay in the good graces of your audience, you have to think of ways at times like, what can I do to keep them cheering for me? But then it's kind of a catch-22 where if you go too hard, they can sense that, and then they'll start to boo you. So how do you deal with that mentally?
Well, I think you can't do the latter in a sense that you can't just do it to get the pop. You can't just do it to, hey, they'll like this. That'd be easy. I'm going to we're in Chicago. I'm going to wear a Bears jersey. You can't just go for the low-hanging fruit. It has to be an authentic thing. And one of the big disagreements John Cena and I have had, and we had this disagreement behind the scenes, and we had this disagreement right in front of the camera is he feels I'm not authentic enough or as authentic as he was. And I think at this point I'm pretty confident in who I am. And
you've proven it. Yeah.
And exactly. I feel like I got a proven track record, but the answer is you can't be a hack about it. And maybe it's that let some of them who don't like you can't get them all. They may not like you. When I was wrestling Kevin Owens, he has a great fan base, just great equity in general. Most people booed, but there are some. You hear a wild thing here every now and then. You just got to you can't get them all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the episode? This is such a random, deep cut here. You ever seen the episode of Parks and Rec with Leslie Knope running for office?
Yeah. I love that show.
When she's trying to get the guy and she's bowling with him. Yeah. That's the kiss of death if you're a babyface in our business. That dude's not voting for you.
Right.
You got to move on, all right? You got to move on.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So I have a question about your dad and growing up. Like I grew up loving wrestling, but obviously I was removed from it. Was it ever like when you're growing up and you're watching it, was it ever different for you experiencing it and then knowing like, oh, that's my dad out there and he could get hurt and like that whole feeling of like, I can't love it like a fan can love it in the same way?
The way my dad raised me in the business, which will not be the way I raised my daughter, was incorrect. And he never really gave me any inside. So I had to figure out very early on that he has a relationship with Ric Flair that's not just Ric Flair breaking his arm in the parking lot. I had to figure it out early on, and I never really did.
Interesting.
If that makes any sense.
So like if Ric Flair showed up to your house when you were like 10 years old, you'd be like, it's on site.
So even if I can't win the fight, I would be willing to fight.
You're like, this guy is really mean to my dad.
He exactly. And the way my dad was, he might complain about something that happened on screen. He also might complain about something off screen, and they all blend together. Here's what I've learned in my position on the top at WWE and with other top WWE stars that I've worked with. It might as well be the UFC. It might, when you get in this rare space, it's as real as it can possibly get in ways you wouldn't expect.
Right.
And that's almost terrifying. But that's why, again, growing up the son of Dusty Rhodes, I just was his biggest fan. And anyone across from him, I wasn't having it.
Right.
I wasn't having it. And I've told this story before, but it's the greatest example of the toughest guy in the industry ever was a guy named Haku. If you hear any of these big fish stories about him taking a man's eye out or smashing the McDonald's, drive-through window, throwing a body press slam, they're all real. They're real stories.
He took a man's eye out?
I took a cop's eye out. This is a real story. You can look it up. But Ming Haku, he slammed a chair. My dad slammed a chair over his head, and he was so tough that he didn't sell it. And then he choked my dad out. My dad was bleeding and all this, and I'll never forget it. I was maybe 10 at the time. I probably should have had some. I'm backstage. I should probably know a little bit about what's going on. I remember I'm sitting there next to my dad, and he's bleeding, and he's got his knees all wrapped up, and Haku walked in, and I stood up. This is a man who's taking another man's eye out. And my dad just like shoved me back down on the chair right next to him in a way like, no. And he came over, and he was the sweetest human being ever. Oh, Dusty, thank you, legend. He helped him unwrap his knees, and he kissed him on the forehead. And he left. And I remember thinking, just so shocked. And instead of knowing the performance, my dad just looked at me and he said, there's different rules back here. We can't fight back here. And I bought it. Yeah. I thought, okay, that makes sense.
That's incredible.
That's fair, yeah. No, but it was, to me, there's that famous clip of the guy standing up saying it's still real to me.
Yeah.
That's just me. I'm just saying it in a more sophisticated fashion.
Did you ever have a rebellious, like teenage years where it's like your dad caught you like putting on a butterfly robe and you're like, what the fuck? You can't do this. He likes Ric Flair now?
I was never rebellious against him.
Right.
But there were certain wrestlers that I would like that I could tell he's like, ugh. So he had to explain to me, I liked Hulk Hogan as a kid. And he had to explain to me that Hulk Hogan, and again, I thought this was just my dad talking, but he had to explain to me Hulk Hogan stole, and in the proper way stole. He was inspired by Dusty. He was inspired by Superstar. And I just thought that's a dad talking. Years later, Hogan tells me, I used to watch your dad in the Tampa Armory. I took everything from him. Oh my gosh. Shawn Michaels, we were just talking about him on my bus too. I was watching one of his matches. I thought Shawn Michaels was the coolest thing ever. I don't think my dad wanted his son at the time to like the guy with, chaps and hoop earrings and long hair, but I was in. I was in on it. So he used me, I feel like, as a test. I'd watch and I'd tell him who I liked, and I could tell he would never try to sell me against my own joy.
Right.
About things. But I could tell there were certain ones he thought, like, what the
I raised him better.
Why?
Than this.
Why? Yeah. Why this guy? But that's how I think that's how he kept young in the business.
Yeah, it's a great focus group.
Exactly. He knew, like, no, that's the guy for this generation.
Were you Stone Cold or The Rock?
Oh,
important question.
So I was in the moment. I was Stone Cold.
Okay.
And in the moment, I was Stone Cold because stunning Steve Austin from WCW was on occasion my babysitter.
Oh.
On occasion.
That's pretty bad.
At Center Stage in Atlanta, and he was the nicest guy about it ever because he didn't really do a lot of babysitting as much as he'd sit me in the locker room and be like, hey, you want a soda?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Steve. All right, stay here, though. Don't go anywhere. My match is next, and then I'll be back. It was really basic. Just keep an eye because my dad was running the show at the time. So when he was showing up in WWE and became the man and had this, I thought, that's Steve. That's Sonny Steve. That's my guy. Yeah.
Holy
so
shit.
yeah, I was with Steve early on, and then I feel like I love The Rock like everybody else did as well.
Yeah.
He was so different and so unique. They really were great partners together.
That you just basically described like 12-year-old me's dream. Stone Cold Steve Austin is my babysitter.
Yeah. He was, and I had a lot of at Center Stage in Atlanta for WCW, at the Omni, at all the local UTC Chattanooga, all these local WCW shows. He'd always get me somebody to watch me, but Steve, I felt like, was one of the only ones that really took it serious.
I love that.
I remember Sherry Martel one time was watching me. She was not watching me. Ricky Steamboat stitched my eye up one time because I fell down the steps and busted my eye. He didn't want my dad to know about it, but how is he not going to know about it when I have stitches and a black eye? I had a fun group. Harley Race.
That's incredible.
Where he was just whittling a stick with a pocket knife and the scariest man I've ever seen in my life. So they were unique babysitters.
Yeah. Definitely.
What about like a rebellious phase where you thought that you weren't going to be a wrestler? Where you were like, maybe I'll be an accountant?
Never accountant, but I got a little worried when I was 18. Because when I was 18, I had a great amateur wrestling, folk style, freestyle wrestling career. And I was always wanted to be a wrestler. That was it. I didn't want to go to college. The plan was pro wrestling. But I thought I was going to be 6'5", like my brother. My brother is 6'5". Mm-hmm. We had the same foot. I thought, like, I'm getting there. Still not there, guys. So that was a concern for me. I went to L.A., Howard Fine's acting studio out there, and I thought, hey, maybe I can tell stories in a different way. Maybe wrestling, pro wrestling, those guys seem so big, not to realize that I'm pretty normal sized in our game now. But it took me a little while of realizing this is not for me. Acting, I didn't go on a single meeting. I had a great coach and I really enjoyed it. But wrestling is where I wanted to tell stories first.
Yeah, you're back in acting. You're going to be the new Naked Gun, right?
Yeah, I had a little cameo.
That's pretty.
Love
cool.
that.
I had a little cameo. I feel a little weird because they keep promoting me. You know what? I'm happy that they're promoting me. It's pretty cool. But I got to do a scene with Liam Neeson.
That's awesome.
That's very
legend.
Cool.
That's the thing. And there's so many different things you could say, like Liam Neeson this movie, Liam Neeson this movie. I'm a diehard Star Wars fan, so this is Qui-Gon Jinn, man. It's Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Like it's a yes.
Yeah.
No matter
absolutely.
what. But he was the coolest guy. He was the way he was doing every scene, he'd take it a little differently. It was just cool to chop up with and learn from him just in that moment. It was very fun.
Yeah, I just saw the trailer a second ago, and I can't remember the last time I laughed out loud at a trailer.
Nice.
This one did it. I'm in on this movie.
Full LOL, huh?
Full LOL. When they showed the picture of OJ, that's what did it for me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was strong.
Okay. Yeah.
It was good.
Sweet.
Wait, so now that you've been the champion for a year and your story, some may say, it was completed.
Yeah.
Are you worried at all? Like, hey, what's next? Like, should I have that piece of pizza?
Bro, I could be sitting here peaked.
Yeah.
And not know it. I could sit
It's a pretty good peak, though.
Yeah, it's a great peak, but it also is it's got to be a little bit scary to be like, what is next? Because you had such a great story arc to this point. I'm sure you'll find a way to tell more stories, but it's a reinvention almost again.
I think it's especially with John, who was my legitimate mentor. I drove him around for 2 years and learned everything I possibly could from him. And now to have the situation where it's me versus John Cena in the WrestleMania main event is a wild teacher-student moment for me. But you have to win in those moments. Otherwise, the master was always the master, right?
Right.
For me, so much was done for me. I certainly have worked very hard, and I have a great team around me, and I try to work harder than anyone in the locker room. However, so many people at WWE have done so much for me that I feel like I have to keep going. You know, it's crazy to me that my dad never got one WrestleMania main event, and now this is 4th for me, and the 3rd headline match going on last. It's like a drug, though. I just got to find a way to get to another one, and the only way you can do that is beat John Cena. Which is why I can't have that pizza.
Yeah, you can't have that pizza.
Yeah.
How do we feel about John Cena now? How should we feel about John Cena?
Or where are you from originally?
Originally from right outside.
I don't know why that to turn the Geo.
John Cena.
Right outside D.C.
He's a recurring guest on this show.
He is.
Yeah, he's been on twice. Second time didn't go so well.
John is so polar opposites, I feel like, in terms of when he was teaching me, because he genuinely was. I'd get in the car with him. He'd get on the phone. Hey, how'd we do at the merch stand? He'd get every number breakdown. He'd then call his boss at the time, which was Vince. He'd talk about the show. He was so committed and so locked in, and I watched all that, and he even said it to me this past Monday. You stole all of the playbook. You stole the playbook, and you're using it wrong. I don't know what that means. You use it how you use it. I feel like fans, if they have a love for John Cena, if he's their hero, if you want to see him break the record, I would not discourage that. Kind of like we were talking about, my dad never tried to rob me of my joy. Yeah. To some people, he's still John Cena, picking up Big Show and Edge and doing these amazing feats of strength. And to other people, especially the younger audience that's now seen John in the last month or so, he's kind of a dick. Mm-hmm. And I'm good wherever you sit on the fence with that. But when you come to WrestleMania 41, it's you're watching the end of John Cena.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy it as his fan, or you can enjoy it as someone who's not his fan.
Kind of a dick.
I like that.
I would agree.
Sorry,
with
I feel like
no, that was good.
That
got me right there.
Yeah.
We're here to watch the end of John Cena.
That's it.
And you're going to do it.
Showing up to my biggest ops funeral.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so happy.
Yeah.
There you go.
You should whisper in his ear while you're wrestling, like the Pardon My Take guys say hello. He probably won't remember us at all, but
I don't know. He's got a pretty good memory.
Then that would piss him off.
He's got a pretty good memory.
That would piss him off if you said it.
Yeah,
you can get him.
He went in on me on Monday in London, and it just felt so deep.
Yeah.
So deep to the point where, I think I might have had a penis joke as a follow-up, which I was good with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good. We're here to have fun, guys.
Yeah.
We're here to have fun. But also, I walked away from that thinking he's been thinking about this for a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm meant to be his successor, he ain't handing it over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you got to tell him, be like, you remember the time you went on the #1 sports podcast with purple gloves and you couldn't take a joke? Maybe hit him with that.
You want me to hit him with that?
Yeah, hit him with that.
Do you want to know how dumb certain people think I am, by the way? They must have told me that you guys are the #1 sports podcast. They're laughing because I told them to stop. Because I said, they say, hey, do you want to come on Pardon My Take? Yes. It was a yes.
Yeah.
We were a yes. Let's go. And they were still, it's the number. What part of me?
Yes.
What part of me indicated to you I wasn't interested? Yeah. But they. That's an old school sell at WWE. It's you guys are factually the #1 sports podcast. Right. Way back in the day, WWE like, hey, it's a great opportunity. You could really. That was always. I don't need that.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
Just let it be. Yeah.
All right. So just tell him that the Pardon My Take guys like me more than you, because that's a fact. You're a better guest than him.
Yeah.
That you are a better guest than John Cena.
I'll tell him right now. Where's he at?
Yeah. John Cena.
John Cena. The Pardon My Take guys like me way more than they like you, and I am a better guest.
It's not even close.
And our fan base likes you way more now than him, because again, it didn't go well the last time we had him on.
There it is.
Good job by your team, though. I think sometimes teams remind people of that, because when they sit down here, they're like, they forget that when they're talking to us, and they're just like, how are these guys #1?
Yeah, because we're looking at it. I mean, we actually cleaned up today for you.
We actually
I don't know
did.
if you know that.
Your neighbors didn't clean up.
Yeah. They have
Brandon Walker and the wrestling game.
Yeah. But
there's a big Chewy box on the floor and no dog.
No, that's for Brandon.
What a tease.
Yeah, no, the guys came in and
Dog
they cleaned
food guy.
up.
Yep.
Yeah, they cleaned up. It looks really clean in here.
It looks great.
Yeah.
I have maybe a dumb question for you about the signs that you see at wrestling events.
Yes.
They're always really funny. I feel like for the most part, people are creative when they bring their signs in.
Yeah.
That's all I look at when I'm watching wrestling on
good
TV.
sign?
A good sign, yeah. I try to find the best sign. Do you spend any time at all reading the signs in the audience?
So there's a particular moment where it's been heavily complained about by some of my peers, but there's a lot of pyro for my entrance. And there's a third one that may be a little indulgent, where I'll go up on the buckle and they all yell "whoa" in my song. When I get up on the buckle before I go in the ring, I try and look out and see as many signs as I can, because a lot of times it might just be a little kiddo with an American Nightmare sign. I want him to know I see it. And that's also a good way for me to remind myself we're doing this together. This performance, this competition is not just here in the squared circle. We're all involved. So I like to do it there. In terms of funny signs, I saw one that had a picture of me side by side saying that I look like Randall from Monsters, Inc. And for a moment, my heart was broken, but then I kind of looked at the way my posture is, and I'm a little Randalled up.
You're a little Randall.
I'm a little Randalled up. And I thought, you know what? I'm good with that.
It's a compliment.
Yeah, I was okay with it.
Wait, so you're saying other guys have big time Pyro envy of you? Are they mad that
Pyro's hard to get.
And you have all of it?
Pyro's hard to get.
Are you hogging the Pyro?
If you were to look at a like a line by line sheet,
are you a Pyro hog?
I am a Pyro hog.
Okay,
but
all
also I don't. So Triple H runs the show.
Right.
I'm his guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow that.
Yeah.
Might have just blown it, but that's who picks out the Pyro. So Kevin Owens is the one who's gone on a rant lately as to why he doesn't have any Pyro, and I feel like we could probably spare some Pyro for KO. Or,
you should just hand him a sparkler or something. Be like, here you go, buddy.
Well, there's a whole argument for maybe he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Steve Austin never needed Pyro. I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind the whole. Give me all the bells and whistles. Some guys are just right there in your face and they didn't need it, but I don't mind blowing the sky up when I come out there. It wakes them up. It's an exciting moment.
Yeah.
So you think like every other guy sees your Pyro and they're like, that is a firework that could have been used on me.
Yeah.
Like every single time.
Like that one was too much. I could have had that one.
I heard a guy literally, as I was walking out and the first one burst, tell the rest of the boys that were in the gorilla position, which is the behind the scenes position, there goes your Christmas bonus, guys.
I love it.
We don't get Christmas bonuses.
Yeah.
It's just it's not how the pay works.
Yeah.
And we're not taking money from the talent pool for the Pyro.
But I love this because this is kind of what you're talking about, how, listen, we understand what wrestling is, but there's a real factor to it. The competition behind that is so real.
Yeah.
That makes it awesome.
That's why, so when like the F word, when people say fake, I never get hot. Some wrestlers get real like hot under the collar and they're talking about injuries and things of that nature. The reason I never say it is because the competition at the top is as real as anything I've ever done in my life.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I can't, and then the feeling, you see a kid and his dad or a whole family together and they come to a show, their feeling is as real as anything ever too. So it's a real crazy world.
I love that. Cody Rhodes, the Pyro hog. So speaking of entrances, you've wrestled Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever like, this is the longest entrance ever?
So I didn't have that reaction to Undertaker's.
Okay.
I had that reaction to Roman's.
Okay.
But then I found out mine clocks in a little longer.
Really?
And I thought, okay, fair. I'll tell you a cool Undertaker story from last year, because I believe the Undertaker might be shoot magical.
Okay. Well, explain that.
Well, so I think there's real magic there.
Okay.
And here's where I saw it. WrestleMania 40. Undertaker's going to come in. He's going to choke slam The Rock. This is going to happen. He's going to help me in my situation because there's 50 members of the bloodline and I didn't have anybody with me. So the gong hits and then he appears, places their mind, and it's just the energy, you can feel it. And I'm kind of laying there half beat to death, but one of my eyes was open. He choke slams The Rock and he looks at me, and it never was on camera because he just looked back at me. I think he was looking to have a moment with me. I blew it basically because I'm just laying there half dead, and he literally just looked at me and went and winked, and then the lights went out.
That's awesome.
And I thought that happened.
Yeah.
The Undertaker. I feel bad. I texted him at, I want to say 5 a.m. his time the other day on accident because I was in Europe. And we just did this big thing with Clash of Clans and Supercell, and he's one of the skins you can get. I just needed him to know how good the game was.
Right.
I don't know if he was interested.
Yeah.
I don't know if he cared. I thought it was really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, Taker's the best.
He is the best.
You got to get him on your show.
We've had him on. We had him on.
You've had Take on?
Yeah,
it was on
Big
Zoom.
UT guy. Big Texas guy.
He's the man. I mean, Undertaker and Kane, that storyline, no offense to any of your storylines, I think that's the peak of wrestling.
Brothers fighting each other?
Yeah. And just like I thought they were, well, I mean,
brothers.
Just the fire and everything, and
lightning bolt on one another, and they did some wild stuff.
Yeah, Kane being revealed.
Yeah, that Hell in the Cell is altogether one of the greater pieces of business. The match is amazing. Shawn Michaels is amazing, and then the reveal of Kane. I had to watch it. Remember in pay-per-view if you didn't order it, or if it got screwed up. I waited too late, so I had to watch it in the fuzz. And just hear JR like that's gotta be Kane. Yeah.
The best.
How often are you actually surprised in the ring? Like, how often does the production pull something on you that you don't know is coming?
I honestly like to be surprised every week.
Oh.
Yeah, I like to be very disciplined, organized, know what I plan to do, and be polished and prepared. But I'll say this, working with Cena, I've been surprised every week. That's not going to be... I don't want to say it's difficult. I want to say it's challenging. Mm-hmm. If you're meant to be my successor, show me.
Yeah.
And just, geez. All right. But production-wise, they're pretty on about nothing wild. With me, at least. It's a really good team at WWE. They can make stuff look quite amazing.
Yeah. What do wrestlers do for fun? What do you do for fun outside of wrestling? You don't eat pizza.
I want it, though.
You want it,
crispy
but
pizza, man.
You don't eat it.
You
should get like an assistant who just eats all your pizza for you. I'll do that.
I'm going to be honest.
Just go around with you.
Kind of have that already.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, brother's on the bus right now ordering an ice cream cake.
There you go.
This is that is the scene from Dodgeball where Guy LaFleur, he's sitting in the office and he's just looking at pizza and shocking himself.
Yeah.
So he won't eat it.
That's not unhealthy in any way, right?
Yeah. No, he was a good character.
Yeah. But what do you do for fun?
Well, my daughter, she's almost 4, so that is the journey.
Yeah.
Just that's the greatest thing ever, is just hearing about what's going on in her life and the trials and tribulations of super kitties. And that
super
stuff,
kitties,
she's just, oh my gosh. And she saw Snow White the other day, all kinds of opinions on that. Just that to me, I never thought I was going to have children. And me and my wife, that wasn't part of our plan. And then this has been, oh my gosh, why weren't we doing this all along?
I know.
It's just been the greatest thing. Other than that, other than hanging out with Liberty, I would say I go to Top Golf a lot.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm a slugger at Top Golf.
Okay.
I feel like a real golfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I try to dress the part and everything, but I'm not a golfer.
Yeah.
I'm a good little...
You dress up like it.
Yeah, I'm a good little top golfer.
I like that.
Yeah.
Top golf's very fun.
So you smash it, you step up,
just
hit driver?
Oh, yeah. And if somebody sets it where they're playing Angry Birds, they're effing up the whole flow.
Yeah.
Because that's not skill-based.
That's not Top Golf.
Yeah, that's not Top Golf.
That's not Top Golf.
Thank you. It's not
Wait,
Top
do you
Golf.
actually golf on a golf course?
No, this is I just go to Top Golf. I'm just cranking. That's what I'm saying. I want to look the part.
Yeah.
And I would be ready. You start talking to, again, I mentioned kind of being in an office position. I'm always ready. Somebody asked me to go golfing.
Yeah.
I'm going to fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
Man. I'm going to go out there and do my best.
Yeah.
You bring your own clubs to Top Golf?
No, not yet. I haven't got there yet.
That's what you should do. Just
that's a bold move, huh?
Buy your own set just for Top Golf.
Gosh, that sounds great, though.
Yeah.
Custom clubs, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, like a pool shark.
Yeah.
You show up and you're like, oh, I got this one.
You remember that unbelievable Fresh Prince episode where Uncle Phil and the Hustler?
Yes.
It's a regular. This is a weird thing. You watch weird stuff when you're on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Weird things motivate you. Something about that scene makes me want to run through a brick wall.
What does he name his pool cue?
It's got a female name because he asked for it from Jeffrey.
Is it Lucille?
Yeah, I think it's Lucille.
Is it Lucille? Like,
yes.
Jeffrey, fetch me Lucille.
Lucille,
Yes,
yeah. And then
he's just so nasty.
He's just
with it.
running it up on him. Oh,
and
man.
he's smooth.
Yeah.
He's got that big guy smooth
Man,
energy.
they don't make TV like that anymore.
No, they don't.
Huh?
They don't.
I wish.
Don't. All right. Well, this has been awesome. I got one last question for you. It's a roback question. RHOBACK.com, promo code TAKE. 20% off your first purchase. Q-zips, polos, hoodies, joggers, shorts. I'm wearing the sweatshirt right now. Roback.com, promo code TAKE. Okay, so we talked about your future in wrestling. Are you acting? Are we going to be... I know that you're in the new movie, but are we going to be like lead man Cody Rhodes?
I'd love to get out there. There's some fun projects coming up. I'd love to get out there and tell stories that way for sure, and grow. I love pro wrestling. I'll always, like I found with The Rock, it's here.
Right.
He's a wrestler, but to get out there and I love what Rock has done. I love what John has done, and Dave Bautista as well. All of them have gone different routes. when approaching Hollywood, and I think I might be next to join the fray.
Okay.
With all that,
And we're gonna beat John Cena on April 20th, right?
yeah,
You got to.
his last WrestleMania.
Just whisper.
Can
in
you
his
promise
ears.
us something? Can you just make him feel pain?
Yeah.
Put
And
him in
tell
pain.
Tell him this
I mean,
is
it's
for part of
naturally-
my take.
It's naturally pretty painful, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
extra pain.
Extra pain.
for pardon my take.
This is
Okay.
for pardon my take.
Dial it up
This-
to 11.
Yeah,
It's a little
this one.
PMT pain right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want him to
One
know.
extra, you know?
Yeah.
He might get scared. He might be like, "Oh my god,
Sneak
he's gonna
one,
kill me."
Sneak one in, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kill him.
Yeah. All right. Well, Cody, this has been awesome, man. We really appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
A lot of fun talking to you, and good luck. April 19th, April 20th in Vegas. Be careful in Vegas. Can you go out after? Can you like enjoy yourself?
So I've been to Vegas a bunch of times.
Yeah.
We were talking about the story earlier. I went from wrestling in Sam's Town, which is a local casino, which is a great, the Killers album's named after it, to Allegiant Stadium. I am Vegased out.
Yeah.
So
it
I'm-
can do it to you.
Yeah, I'm more worried about some of my peers.
Okay.
I need them to make it there Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a fanny pack? I always loved
No.
wrestling. Like 90s
try-
wrestlers always had fanny pack. I assume it was.
I tried shirt tuck, fanny pack, and dip. I tried
Okay.
to be a chewer. I threw up on the side of the ring at OVW, and CM Punk had to watch me and like basically while I threw up in a trash can. So that didn't work for me.
Okay.
And the fanny pack, I didn't have enough stuff. Wrestlers always have. There's like everything in there. It's a bottomless bag.
What
Yeah.
about more pyro?
I could always get more.
If you
money.
just have more pyro in your
Yeah.
face, like when the next time someone complains, they're like, "God, he's taking all the pyro." Be like, "Hey, buddy, look at this.
Here's some
Fanny
black
pack.
cats for you.
I got more pyro."
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
Yeah. Yo, you thought I took all the pyro? Look at this.
Yeah,
got extra
I had a little left over, bro.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do with it, so I took it. All right, well, Cody, best of luck.
Thank
and,
you.
Stay champ.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
That was great.
That was great.